And we're live.
Do you get to see movies early?
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen Superman?
Yeah, I saw it Tuesday. I got my review up already.
Oh.
That's where I wanted to go with this, because Chiz just sent us all this little push here that shows the tomato meter on Batman v Superman, and it is currently sitting at 31%.
Not good.
From the critics and a 77% from the audience. Quite a disparity there, and it's worrying me a lot. I haven't watched any of the teasers, any of the trailers that have led up to Batman v Superman. When I was in Deadpool the other day in IMAX, I literally plugged my ears and stared at my phone while that trailer played, and my girlfriend looked at me like I was insane because I just don't want to know anything. So I'm a little upset by this because I was hedging my bet that this was going to be a blockbuster that I was going to be able to get on board with. It's kind of like Iron Man 1 or Avengers 1. So that it was going to be great, but tell us.
You might like it a lot. I won't say anything plot-wise or anything for you. I think it's a visually stunning movie. I think it looks incredible. There's nothing wrong with the action sequences to me. I think it's an exciting action film, but as a story and a narrative, I found it to be a giant mess. It's very hard to balance so many different characters in movies like this, and the other issue that I have is it is most definitely it's a setup movie. You know, it's you go to it and you can tell that Warner Brothers is pulling strings, you know, and DC, yep. they're pulling strings. And for me, the best superhero movie of the past couple of years was Deadpool, and the reason I loved that movie so much, besides the fact that it was exciting and funny, was because it could just be a movie. It didn't have to set up a universe. It didn't even have to set up Deadpool 2. There's like one sequence in the after credits where he's like, by the way, we're going to make Deadpool 2. And that was it. The rest of the movie is its own contained film. For me, movies like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was awful. And largely because...
That's Fox.
Well, no, that's actually Sony.
Excuse me. You're right. It's Sony.
Yeah. And one of the things that it was so... For me, it was so bad was that it was just like, hey, here's a 2-hour trailer for a Sinister Six movie that's never going to happen. For me, the worst scene in Age of Ultron was like Thor going to a pool to set up Thor Ragnarok because Marvel said, hey, we have to set up Thor Ragnarok. And Joss Whedon was like, well, shit. Okay, here's this dumbass scene. So that's kind of Batman v Superman's biggest issue for me is they shoehorn so much into that movie and it doesn't feel
You know
like
why, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
They fell behind in the DC Marvel arms race. They fell far behind. Marvel has had a couple of phases now to set up this massive universe that keeps getting wider. It's not just getting taller, it's getting wider, this universe that they're creating. And DC's like, oh shit, we don't even have time for a Batman reboot. We don't even have time for a Superman 2. Let's stick them together and throw in half a dozen other superheroes, and we'll start wide and then we'll build tall. And it's not. I could see where that could be.
Yeah, I'm with you there for sure.
And messy.
By far, for me, the best part of that movie is perhaps the most hated element leading up to it. Ben Affleck as Batman is amazing. He's incredible as a character.
I knew he would be.
Yeah, 3 years ago, I was one of the only people saying he was going to be good, and it was like
after I watched the bank robber movie that he did,
The Town.
The Town.
That was a good movie.
Yes, that was incredible,
but not because of him though.
I thought it was great because of him. Jeremy Renner was good, but he was excellent.
I think it is because of him that movie is great. I mean, he directed it. The movie was his vision. And
no acting. I mean, like his
acting. Gotcha, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought the guy who did Hurt Locker, I thought he was a better actor in that movie than. Is that his name?
Jeremy Renner. Yeah, he's Hawkeye.
Okay. Yeah, I don't care for him in that.
No. Hawkeye doesn't have a. He's like the weird Avenger who's like, hey, I'm here.
He needs a TV show.
Yeah, he walked into the wrong room.
They asked him recently if
he is on the Avengers. You know.
They asked him recently if he'd be open to a TV show, and he said, "Oh, totally." And I was thinking, like,
give me something. My favorite part.
Daredevil.
I think he is.
I'm sorry.
I think Daredevil would catch those arrows, right?
No. An arrow goes so quiet he wouldn't see it till it was too late. Until he heard that little like flutter of the fucking back of the arrow swinging back and forth that embedded in his forehead.
But
Like
he
just
has
shoot him.
explosive arrows too.
Yeah,
He has
the funniest
explosive
part-
arrows.
The funniest part of the Avengers for me is when Hawkeye, it's like towards the last act where they're all like all the shit's blown out, everyone's crazy, and Hawkeye is like, he jumps off a roof, he fires an arrow, it like connects to a rope, and then he crashes through a window and he lands on the ground, and he's just like, oh shit, like he's just like, oh god, like he doesn't, you can just tell that he's like a human being. He's like, oh my god, get me home. It's just, I love that. It's so funny. I mean, and it's, you know, because he's just like there. He's like the guy who helps children out of the bus. You know, he's like, hey, the bus
that's
fell
what he
over.
should be doing.
I'm gonna call it now. I bet they kill him off in the next Avengers movie because I
They
feel like
should've
that's
done it
what
in Ultron.
I feel like they've been ripening him up for that. They got his family backstory now. We know he's got people counting on him. It's really gonna tug at the heartstrings when Jeremy Renner explodes because he actually runs into an actual supervillain and he just vaporizes his ass because that's what actual supervillains do to humans. They
with
vaporize
bows
them
and
by
arrows.
looking at them. like when it finally all comes together, we get the Infinity Gauntlet cooking. I think those movies are going to be great, and the scale is going to be massive when you have the Guardians of the Galaxy interweaving with X-Men, and Spider-Man is swinging in with Captain America's shield, throwing it to Captain America. I love that there's so many characters in the Marvel universe, and they seem to be mixing them well. Although Ultron was definitely a step down for me. I didn't like it nearly as much as the predecessor.
Right, and I think a lot of that really does have to do with a studio saying, hey, these things have to happen. Because the Avengers was the end of a phase, and Joss Whedon almost had most creative freedom, and there were just a few things they had to do, but none of it was like this big setup. It was really just a standalone movie that kind of was like the end of something. And so Whedon was able to just end it and have all this amazing shit. With Ultron, it did kind of have to connect, and it was just too much happening and too many creative ideas being thrown at the wall, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
And for me, that was Batman v Superman. Batman's amazing in it. The action's awesome. It's a badass looking movie, but the story and the narrative, it's all over the place, and it is grim. I mean, it is like humorless. Just this blah. And I get it. Batman is dark, but I mean, The Dark Knight was a funny film. It had jokes.
Yeah.
There were moments, and obviously the Joker's in it, but even Batman Begins was somewhat lighthearted at times. I mean, there were moments where you could laugh with it and feel like, okay, I get like when he's testing his Batmobile for the first time and he's like, does it come in black? Like, there's just great moments like that. There's nothing like that in Batman v Superman. Like, the funniest parts are not even funny. It's just, they kind of, it just feels like a thing, like a pin dropped and you can hear it drop. Like, that's how quiet everyone was in the audience.
I would like some witty repartee between Batman and Superman while they're fighting, like little quips back and forth and insults and stuff. Like, and the cool thing about it would be that Batman could whisper the insults and Superman would still hear them and stuff, you know? So it wouldn't matter if Superman was like thrashing him and swinging him through a building. He would just be like, "You'll never live up to your father, Clark. You'll never make him proud. You failed them before. You'll do it again." And he's just like in his head. That would be great. But
you know what I want to see is I want to see the only realistic way that Batman could take down Superman is just 8 hours, just long series of humorless litigation in court, constant. Batman has a team of attorneys on just retainer taking down Superman. Superman's desperate. You know, he has no currency. He doesn't understand it here. He's getting murdered in court. Keeps getting angry, breaking the desks. Great.
They're like, let's talk about Mr. Kal-El's legal status in this country first and foremost.
Fucking Trump sends him back to... Where's he come from?
Krypton.
Krypton, thank you.
People of Gotham versus Superman. 600 parking tickets.
You can't build a wall to keep him out.
It's funny because, like, again, no spoilers, but the movie, it's funny how close you are to actually how parts of the movie actually does like put Superman in a way on trial, but they never go anything interesting. It's just Snyder's answer to everything is something will eventually blow up.
It can't be interesting to have Superman on a trial run by humans. The very nature intrinsically of that, it can't be interesting. It's like me being on trial with a bunch of stuffed animals. If the worst thing that can happen is that I decide not to leave. Oh, you've captured me. No, I can leave whenever the fuck I want. Superman can sit there and be like, "Oh golly, am I guilty, guys? Oh, you got me." And then boom, just the entire court is exploded and he leaves. Like there's nothing at stake. That's why it's not exciting, you know?
I'm aware that I'm saying this without having seen the movie, but I like I said, they had to load up a bunch of stuff to get the DC universe fired up. But I really would have liked a Superman movie where it was just Superman and he was dealing with those issues, the issues of being a god, at least a demigod, in comparison to all the other human beings, and what that would be like. And what, I mean, surely if there were such a being in our real world right now, there'd be groups of people who worshipped him. I mean, we've got cult leaders who just are good at, are just silver-tongued and good at telling people lies, and they end up getting worshipped. You got a guy flying through the air, he's going to have a cult.
The Watchmen handled that really well. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but there was a character named Dr. Manhattan, and there are parts of it where, like, this guy could snap his fingers and fix all the problems, right? He was a super genius. He could do anything. He could clone himself. There's scenes where he's having sex with a woman and, like, coding on the computer.
Doing science in the background.
Yeah, right?
He's doing 30 things at once.
With literally the clones of them.
And he had like 12 dicks if he wanted them.
Yeah, and you know, there was a part where he goes to Mars, I think it's where he went, and they're asking him like, hey, you know, can you help us? We really need you. And he tries to explain, like, look, I don't care about you. You are so nothing to me. You are roaches or crickets to me. You're a blink of the eye in terms of, you know, time across the universe. And I don't know, it was like, I know, but it would be so easy for you to solve this problem. That's so key to us.
I always thought when he's fucking the chick, who's very hot, by the way, I was thinking, like, I bet he's like, there's definitely more than one penis involved. Like, he's for sure double penetrating her, because if your boyfriend can have a dozen penises, like, at some point, you're going to take advantage of the fact that your boyfriend can have a dozen penises.
Well,
I'm sure.
I think you top out at 2 being useful. A dozen. What do you
You
do?
can get at least 3 or 4 in there. I mean,
yours, you know,
belly button maybe. I'm talking about different entrances.
Keep the streak alive.
Oh, keep brought it up. All right.
Keep the streak moving.
No, would it just be a little one?
But
right?
But yeah, Zack Snyder's an interesting filmmaker. I like his films, but they're all kind of similar and they're all flawed in similar ways.
Is he the one that made the
visually
Watchmen?
beautiful?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good looking movie, but in classic Snyder fashion, he has a hard time balancing the amazing visuals with a great story.
I like that movie more than it seems most people did. I really
like
that. Yeah.
I like you and I like it seems like most people hate that movie, and I watched the extended long ass version that's like 3+ hours. I liked it. I thought it was very interesting to see more down to earth superheroes who in effect are just really fucking strong, and that's their superhero. That's their superpower. Most of them. It seems
Smart,
like they're good
agile.
at fighting.
They had different powers. Right, there's a guy who could pretty much dodge bullets, right? The blonde, handsome guy at the end.
Yeah. There's a couple of them who are like super duper powered. You know, they're like another tier above. But like most of them are just good at fighting. It seemed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daredevil wouldn't have made the cut.
No.
He wouldn't have been invited to class the first day if that was what he was applying for. No way.
Well,
anyway,
I'm trying to think what other movies came out that I'd like to hear your opinion on. I know that Chiz is saying what.
No, Chiz is talking about more superheroes. Superheroes.
I like Sicario a lot. I thought that was really good.
How about Mad Max or Star Wars? You guys see Mad Max?
Oh, Mad Max was my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah,
Mad Max was my second or third favorite film of the year. I watched it twice in theaters. Loved it.
Mad Max was like literally the only movie last year I gave my highest grade to, A+. It was the only film that got it last year.
Did it bother you that the plot was
the
simple?
phrase eye candy gets thrown around a lot, but Mad Max really is eye candy. It's just
it's great. Like, it's just a 1985 movie that came out in 2015, and they were utilizing today's technology to make it, and that's something I loved about it. It was just so old fashioned. But it, like, you know, there are CG in the film, but it's mostly used for background rendering. Like, maybe we'll put some clouds here or extend the mountain range a little bit, stuff like that.
Or flesh out the CGI is really good at fleshing things out. You know, adding that extra 10% that in reality makes the shot. There's those scenes where you've got they'll have 12 real vehicles, but then they'll throw in 8 fake ones in the background, and now it's an armada of vehicles coming across the desert, and they hype up the sand a little bit, get the lightning flowing, and it was beautiful. I really like Mad Max. I know there's a black and white version, and I intend to watch that as soon as I get it.
I don't want to see it. I love the soundtrack in that movie too.
Yeah,
like the whole chase, the first chase, just gets you hyped and going, and then you get more excited when you realize like this isn't a movie. It's not bickering with itself about the plot. It's not concerned with that. It knows exactly what it is, and it is nonstop action.
But did it bother you guys at all though? Like the whole thing is like, oh, they're gonna go out, and she turns left instead of right. Okay, I've spoiled it. You know, like that's there's. I get that it's eye candy. I liked Mad Max. I feel like I'm dogging on it. I just felt like it, you know, for it to be a great movie, it needed more than just visuals.
I like the universe they built. I like that the war boys have leukemia, and that's why they're getting blood transfusions. That's why they're all pale and shit. I like that their religion is the V8 religion, and they're worshiping the V8 altar. And you know, to have a wheel, to have the wheel of a car is an honor, and to be a lancer is like a secondary position. And they've got this whole hierarchy and the scarification that they've got going on. And when the girls are talking about that, he's just a war boy on his half-life or whatever. It's clear that there's been a nuclear, holocaust, and now everybody has been affected by it. They're not so healthy. There were some, and you got the titty milk ladies in there. They're milking all those fat women. Like, who wrote that up? That you know what I mean? Like somebody was like,
yeah.
And they've got the fake baby dolls. Did you notice that? How dark was that? That these large women are being milked for their breast milk, and they have fake like baby dolls that are like post-apocalyptic scary baby dolls, all fucked up and mangled with one eye, and they're like rocking them. It was pretty dark.
That is dark.
Yeah,
I remember those dolls. It's like, have you ever seen pictures of like, it'll say like Halloween 1908, and the kids are all standing there in their homemade costumes, and they're horrifying. They're horrifying.
Very,
like,
very
they're
dark.
Standing there like that evil doctor with the long beak, and it's just like, what parent was like, with glee, be like, oh, hope you don't die in World War I. Like,
I think what makes that movie to me, despite Tom Hardy's amazing, he does a really good job. It's solid as a rock, but Imperator Furiosa is the coolest female character that there's ever been. Maybe going Ripley and Alien. They're side by side. I feel like she is the epitome of like a female badass. Like she's not sexualized in any way. There's no. We don't care about her titties. We don't care if she has a love interest or any of that.
Speak for yourself.
It's all about kicking ass and driving a big rig, and I love that.
Yeah, she was phenomenal in that movie, and from what I understand, there was a lot of tension on the set because I guess both her and Hardy kind of had a hard time really understanding what George Miller, the director, was going for. And I've since it's come out and everyone loved it, and Tom Hardy has like publicly apologized to him like in so many interviews saying like, I'm sorry, the movie was so good, I'm sorry I doubted you. So it's one of those movies that for me, the first time I saw it, I was just blown away. It was just one of those movie going experiences. It reminded me why I love movies so much. It reminded me that movies could be that transformative to where they can actually like inspire you and just make you want to. I was laughing out loud.
I was laughing out loud. I was like nudging my girlfriend and going, "Wow!" Like, when there'd be a big action scene or something would happen that was ridiculous. When a face gets ripped off or something like that, it's like, this is really a beautiful movie. I love the fire. I love the flamethrower guitar man just fucking ripping it the whole time. It's just I love that. I love that part of the procession is, he's playing the war drums. They got the music going, and then I like the various factions with the bullet farm and everything. Very cool. I look forward to the next one. I hope that they don't do something stupid and put Charlize Theron in there again, because her chapter is done. Mad Max should now move on to another thing with another group of interesting characters who are equally as fascinating as Furiosa was. I hope that's the path that they take.
Yeah, because that's kind of what he is. He's not.
And let me just throw this out there: the coolest thing they could possibly do would be to sneak Mel Gibson in there without anybody knowing it.
I was just gonna say what I honestly would love. It probably won't happen, but if Miller made the next one and just had it be like 20 years after Fury Road. Just have Gibson play him again. I'd be just
Yes.
That'd be amazing.
Yes.
Or at the very least, a cameo. Like at least have him yelling at a Jew in the background for a couple seconds.
He could be the Jew master or something like just
God,
really go
that's
over the
his
top,
plan.
like he's whipping them and stuff. Like, no, I don't want anything like. Look, I've forgiven Mel for
Is he
his
working
anti-Semitic.
again?
Yeah, he's got
I
a
mean,
movie
he's
coming out.
got a he's directed a film called Hacksaw Ridge this year. He's in a movie called
Weird.
Bloodfather. Look, the thing is, like, my wife's Jewish. You know, like I have no. I understand. Look, this guy was an alcoholic. For
You're
a long
saying you
time.
relate to it?
And
you're like, my life's Jewish. I know where he was coming from. Is that where you're headed?
No, I'm saying my wife is Jewish, and it's one of those things where if anyone were to be upset seeing hatred towards Jews, it would be me.
You guys, right?
And one of those things where the guy fell off the wagon. He had a terrible night. He said some shit.
And it wasn't just the Jews.
said-
It wasn't just Jewish people. He said things about black people. He said things
Sure.
about women in particular.
Yeah.
He was just angry and drunk and spewing hatred.
The other thing is, this was a decade ago. It's done. It's been talked about until it's been buried, and I'm surprised Gibson isn't buried. It's just one of those things where it's like, you know, people make mistakes. If I were to sit there and judge him, you know, for some really terrible, horrible shit he said, acting like I've never said something that could possibly offend somebody, then I'd feel hypocritical.
But his commitment to the role and just the beauty of the filmmaking, and I can't remember that cinematographer's name, the one who won his third Oscar in a row, the guy who did Birdman and then Gravity, and then it's Lubezki or something like that.
Yeah, I want to say it's Emmanuel Lubezki.
Yeah, he's the one. DiCaprio should be thanking him for his Oscar in some regards, because thanks to his camera work and what the look of the film, that's what kept me engaged enough to appreciate DiCaprio's acting. Really enjoyed that film.
Yeah, it was directed by Alejandro G. Iñárritu, and then the cinematographer was Emmanuel Lubezki.
Yeah, I love that, and it made I didn't connect the dots with Lubezki with Gravity and Birdman until this third film, but I loved Gravity and I loved Birdman. I saw Gravity in 3D, and it was an experience. It was reminiscent of The Matrix in that it was kind of groundbreaking. It was something I'd never seen before, and I always tell the story of how the man sitting next to me, there's a part where a Soyuz capsule breaks apart, and it's got all these ropes flailing in space that connect to a parachute, and she's slipping off the spacecraft, and she's trying to grab these flailing cords, and in 3D they look like they're in their face, and the man next to me was trying to grab one, and I was like, yeah, this is a cinema experience. Or
it's Georgia. Yeah. Well,
oh Lord, we in space!
I told you we should have went to church instead of seeing a film. Yeah.
I look over about 5 minutes in, I realize he's been holding his breath. He's all red-faced. We're in space! No, right? But it was that movie was great for me, and Birdman was too. It had that really long take that I think there was some trickery involved there, but that's what makes him good at his job, I feel like. I guess you could spend weeks and weeks orchestrating a no-cut take that's really difficult. But what he does, it seems, is that he's the master of doing one or two takes and making an incredible shot. Like when he walks out, so he gets locked outside the theater in Birdman, and he has to walk through the crowd and in New York and everything in his underwear. So really, really enjoyed that film. And then I think the other one I wanted to hear your opinion on was Deadpool, because I fear with
I'm interested in that too.
With its financial success, that Hollywood is going to say, there's the ticket. Titties and ass and cursing and slice people in half. Yeah, violence.
And nothing but winners.
These are a few of my favorite things.
I feel like there's going to be a horde of bad movies that try to replicate Deadpool's success.
Absolutely, there will be. I love it. It's still currently my favorite movie of the year. For me, Deadpool is perfect for that, because that's the character. The character of Deadpool is a foul-mouthed ass. And so if they're going to make the character right, then they might as well make the movie like that. And I agree with you. There's going to be a ton of people who are like, whoa, well, now we have to make our movie rated R because Deadpool. And, like the Batman v Superman Blu-ray is going to have a rated R cut. And they're talking about making the last Wolverine standalone rated R, which I'm fine with actually, because
Yeah,
the character of Wolverine can get very violent and bloody, foul mouthed. He smokes cigars and he kills people, so I'm fine with that. And the original cut for the Wolverine, the last standalone, was actually rated R. And the studio, I guess, kind of was like, maybe cut it to PG-13. But the Blu-ray extended cut of the Blu-ray is nice. There's a lot of blood. He like throws ninjas inside like a wood cutter or something, and the blood just like is spraying out of the wood chopper. It's amazing.
Where was that? I want to see that. So
Get
you want to
the
know
extended cut Blu-ray.
my favorite example of Hollywood dumbing down an R, or not dumbing it, censoring an R-rated movie, chopping it to bits to make more money is Galaxy Quest. Are you aware that was originally intended to be an R-rated comedy?
No way.
Oh, I had no idea.
Not only that, but there is a scene at the end when I think the spaceship's crashing maybe through the atmosphere, and I can't remember the guy's name. He just passed away. He plays Snape.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman says "fuck" or something along that line. He's motherfucker or something like that as they're crashing, and you can see his lips say it, but it's dubbed over, and he's like "fudge" or something like that. But they chopped that movie to bits, and what was a raunchy R-rated dirty comedy with Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, and Tony Shalhoub, I think is that actor's name, was dumbed down to a. Even in PG, I think it has its moments. It's got some good. It's a decent movie for what
you
it is.
You gotta really sift through some shit to get to the good moments. In that movie. It's not.
That's what I'm saying. They butchered what was a good movie because they went from an R to a PG rating, and that meant they had to cut a lot. Apparently, all the language.
Yeah.
I actually really like Galaxy Quest. I never knew that. I never knew that it was originally R. That's interesting. I think that was probably a financial decision, obviously, because they probably figured, well, people aren't, when that come out, 1999? Yeah, Star Trek wasn't doing so well in 99. The Next Generation movies were starting to kind of phase out into the shittier Next Generation movies. And so since it is obviously a satire on the Star Trek world, they probably were like, well, no one's going to see this even if it is PG, so we better make it PG. But I've always enjoyed it. I think it has its moments. It's one of Tim Allen's better movies for me.
Yeah, that's not saying much though. Poor
Yeah, I know.
You know, I really love Christmas with the Cranks. You know,
Christmas with the Cranks and Santa Claus. I mean, if you want to say Toy Story is probably his best. But
Jungle to Jungle. Yeah, there's a classic.
Oh yeah, Jungle to Jungle.
Oh, I forgot about Jungle to Jungle.
I think I've seen all
back,
the Tim Allen
if I recall
disasters.
correctly, that kid was way too white to just have been found in the jungle. Even among his tribe, it was like, oh, so you picked that one. You picked the white. Like, there was something a little wrong with that. I noticed that back then too. Yeah, Wild Hogs was one that blew up out of nowhere. That was a low budget. Yeah, they that one did really well. I remember when that came out, and I did not like that movie at all. I didn't like that.
No, I didn't really like it either.
It felt lowbrow. I just didn't like it.